Hi, this is Alex Price with Second Renaissance Funding, and this is going to be a short video on how to get financing for your cannabis-related business. We've had a couple of transactions come in the past 6 months, and I took the time to put together the underwriting requirements that our institutional and private investors like to see when the business is high risk and or in the cannabis-related field. We have a pretty thorough platform or different financing solutions that we can offer if you're in the cannabis business. And yeah, let's get started. So first of all, who we are. We're Second Renaissance Funding. We're founded in 2016 in Chicago, Illinois. And we are a trusted financing solution for businesses, commercial, and private equity investors, as well as real estate developers. So far, we've facilitated over $23.5 million in transactions. And as it pertains for cannabis, we've got over 30 private and institutional investors that are issuing promissory notes for not only cannabis, but high-risk industry clients. So far, right now, cannabis-related businesses have found it very, very difficult to get basic banking, accounting, and payments solutions in the past 3 years. In fact, I had one of my CPA affiliates reach out to me to see if I could help his clients with basic business banking solutions. It's getting that bad. So, from CBDs providers to full dispensaries, the process to fulfill the basics on the financial side can be a major, major hassle. And at the moment, there does not seem to be a streamlined way to handle these issues nationwide. It gets easier on a state-to-state level, but even from an institutional perspective, it's a huge hassle. There are no streamlined underwriting requirements for banks and for financing companies and for payment processing companies so far. So whether you're an experienced dispensary owner, a CBD lab, or a broker attempting to help your client, Second Renaissance Funding has a financing solutions for the cannabis industry. So right now, like I said before, we have over 30 private investors and 2 institutions currently that exclusively invest in both commercial and business financing for cannabis-related businesses and other high-risk businesses. In this video, we're going to go over the basic underwriting requirements for startup financing, unsecured and secured business financing, commercial investment financing, and personal unsecured financing geared toward the cannabis industry. If you want to jump on a strategy call, you can click the link in the comments and you can schedule a free funding strategy call with one of our professionals. For unsecured business financing, we have an institutional lender that can handle the transactions. You're going to need 4 months in operation as for your business, a minimum of $10,000 per month in business banking deposits, and all cash deposits are fine. The rates and terms for these transactions can range from the following. The rates are going to be 7.99% all the way up to 49% interest only. And that's going to depend on the health and credit of your business and risk level. It really is case by case. There is no way before we get into pre-underwriting to tell you exactly what your rate is going to be, as the majority of the leads that come in right now want to know without any documentation what the rate's going to be. If you're a restaurant, we could maybe give you a range, but for cannabis and other high-risk businesses, we're really going to have a comprehensive look at your business bank statements, your dispensary or your CBD lab or your distribution center, and we're going to have to make an assessment. So the terms are generally 6 months to 24 months. You can do bi-weekly or monthly payments, so we can do term. And it's that simple. Usually the quotes are issued within 2 days, and a conditional letter of intent is issued. So this is followed by a formal documentation and certification check for the business and a funding call. Most deals that come across my desk get funded within 3 to 5 business days. And we can fund all the way up to $2.5 million with this. So for secured businesses, that means that you're going to leverage some real estate. We have an institutional lender that handles these transactions. They want you to have 6 months in operation, a minimum of $10,000 per month of business bank deposits, and it's okay if it's all cash. The real estate that you're going to use as collateral needs to be at least over $50,000 in value. They can give you all the way up to 90% loan to value for that. And the rates usually range from 9.99% all the way up to 29% interest only. Okay, and that's depending on the health and credit of the business. The terms are going to be 6 months to 36 months, and usually quotes are issued within 2 business days, and a conditional letter of intent is sent out. This is followed by a formal documentation and certification check for the business. Appraisal and title work for the collateral needs to happen, and that's a refundable appraisal fee. And a funding call happens. Most deals fund within 10 business days, start to finish. So, one of the more exotic things that we can do right now is that we can have financing set up for startups and for entities that are trying to do PPM equity share offerings. So we've got a private investor that handles these transactions, and the requirements are the following. You need to have a very thorough business plan or a PPM synopsis elucidating the principles, their experience, the competitors, the profit and loss. They want to know 2 to 5 year financial projections. They want to see the personal financial statements for all the principals in the business. They want a strategy call if they think it's a good fit, and that's going to be with the direct fund investor. And the rates and terms for these transactions can range in the following. It can be 9.99% all the way up to 15% interest only, depending on the health and credit of the business, the risk level, and frankly, the strength of the business plan. The terms can be 6 months all the way up to 60 months. And the closing costs can be 3 to 6 points. Possible equity sharing success fee all the way up to 5%. Generally speaking, with the PPM offerings that I'm seeing, our investor is asking for a 15% equity share in the business, and I haven't really budged on that. So you'd have to be a very, very, very strong prospect for them to go below that. The way that the underwriting process would go is after the initial screening, the synopsis or memorandum would be reviewed, a schedule call between the primary investors, the principals, and our team would happen. If the project is still something that we want to do after that call, we would start the due diligence, and we'd issue a due diligence list for documents. That list is really case by case. I can't actually issue a streamlined list as there are many different situations and there are many different private equity underwriting requirements that need to be undergone before we actually put that list together. Sometimes it can be just as easy as looking at other businesses that the principals have done. Sometimes they'll want to see tax returns going for the past 4 years for all principals, and they'll also want to see extended profit and loss projections. So usually the quotes are issued within 10 days with a conditional letter of intent after. And if the collateral is available to leverage, like real estate that principals own, then this increases the funding amount and will necessitate a title and appraisal due diligence check as well. This is followed by a formal documentation and certification check for the business and a funding call. Most deals fund within 10 business days of that funding call, meaning the entire process usually takes 30 to 45 business days from start to finish. That was a mouthful, I know, but a lot goes into deciding whether or not to fund a startup in the cannabis space, and a startup in any space. That's really more of a venture capital type deal. So, for commercial real estate financing, we can go all the way up to 80% loan to value. And right now we have over 30 private investors and a hedge fund that exclusively lends for commercial projects for cannabis businesses. So they require the following. The list price for the commercial deal has to be at least $100,000. You got to have at least 10% down in terms of liquid money. So either you or an equity sharing partner needs to have that. Other real estate can be used as collateral for the deal, and this allows for a higher funding amount and longer term limits, as well as lower amounts for what you need to have down. The rates and terms for these transactions can range from the following. The rates can go from 4.99% to 15% interest only, and that depends on project to project. The terms can be 12 months to 36 months, and the closing costs are going to range between 3 to 6 closing points that Second Renaissance funding charges at demanded escrow contract, title and appraisal fees, environmental fees, and that depends on project to project. So for personal financing solutions, we have a really fast, robust option, and we've got one institution that specializes in giving this personal financing solution for cannabis business owners. They know that these business owners are getting unsecured personal loans for cannabis, and they're totally cool with that. So you need to have a 650 FICO. You need to have a minimum income of $50,000 a year for the past 2 years. You're not going to have any major blemishes on your credit for the past 2 years. That means no bankruptcies, no foreclosures. So they also want to see 2 years in personal tax returns. They're going to want to see the current 3 bureau credit reports. And we have you just pull your credit reports for that. They're going to want to see 2 most recent pay stubs. If you're self-employed, they're going to need to see 2 years business tax returns. So the rates and terms for these transactions can range from the following. They can go from 0% APR credit card, which is great. An unsecured line of credit goes from 4 to 14.99%. And they can just give you capital loan, which is 4 to 14.99%. And the terms usually are from 12 months to 36 months, interest only. So I know that was a mouthful, and I know you've got some questions. You can click the link below, and you can get started. Just fill out some basic information, and you can get on the phone with one of our funding executives. We've handled these deals before, and we can't wait to help you.